Hi, I'm Ed China and What Car have asked me to talk to you about vans. I love a good van, from those driving around delivering food to those parked at the side of the road making it. But my favourite has got to be the ice cream van. And why? Well, because I made the world's first all-electric ice cream van and I'm rather proud of that. But it seems now I've got a challenge from some fellow on Top Gear as to who can drive theirs faster. But that is for another day. And all this talk about food is making me a bit hungry, so we should crack on and talk about some vans. And in fact, an electric van, which I'm rather excited about. So while I go and unplug it, please remember to subscribe so you can see more of me. So this is an electric van. In fact, it's the Vauxhall Vivaro-e to be precise. I know what you're thinking, it's electric, so tell me about all of the compromises, but you'd be wrong for many, many reasons. So stay tuned while I explain why this very van was crowned What Car's Van of the Year. Now we're in the midst of an electric revolution, and in recent years cars, vans and even trucks have been turning electric, but medium-sized vans like this have been lagging behind a little bit. But people use mid-sized vans like this for all kinds of reasons. Some people want the space, some people want to move heavy things, and sometimes it's because of a mixture of both. But the big heavy electric batteries can make finding that balance a bit of a problem, and Vauxhall think they've managed to solve that problem with the Vivaro-e. The Vivaro-e's powertrain is based on the Vauxhall Corsa-e, which might surprise you, as it's strange to think of such a small car could be the basis for a van that can carry well over 1 tonne in the back. But it's not so strange. The electric Renault Kangoo and Renault Master both use components from the Renault Zoe too, such as the adaptability of electric motors and batteries. More direct rivals to the Vivaro-e in terms of size and capability include the Mercedes-Benz e-Vito and the newly released Volkswagen Apt e-Transporter, as well as almost identical versions of the same van with Peugeot and Citroën badges. Now it might be electric Corsa underneath, but the rest of the van is all Vivaro. And in fact, it's exactly the same body as you'd find on the diesel van. Now it does come in 2 lengths. You have medium and long wheelbase, and it also comes with a choice of 2 battery sizes. Now you can either have a 50 kilowatt-hour battery or a 75 kilowatt-hour battery, and that gives you an official range of either 143 miles or 205 miles. And you can have that choice of batteries on either the medium or the long wheelbase because the batteries are kept safely under the floor. Now, although the van only comes with 1 roof height option, it still means you can either go with 5.3 metres cubed or 6.6 metres cubed. And as with the standard Vivaro, you also have the load-through bulkhead option on the elite trim level. That means the maximum length is 4,959mm in the standard van and up to 5,309mm in the long wheelbase model. Now, removing the weight of the engine and transmission mean that all those heavy batteries and electric motor don't actually compromise the payload of the Vivaro. All Vivaro-e's have a gross vehicle weight of 3.1 tonnes, and that means that it has a maximum payload of 1,226 kilograms. And of course that is with the smaller battery. So the larger battery for longer range, the 75 kilowatt-hour version, is not only going to cost you more money, but also 200 kilograms, because the maximum payload of the bigger battery version is just 1,000 kilograms. Well, like me, you'll probably be interested to know the difference between the payloads of the diesel and the electric vans. Well, actually, it's only about 130 kilograms. Now, another little party trick of the Vivaro-e is it's the only van currently able to tow up to 1 tonne. Vauxhall has slimmed down the choices you get for the Vivaro-e compared to the diesel van, but that's no bad thing. There are just 2 trim levels, Dynamic and Elite, and not much has changed from the interior of the diesel van, with just the instrument cluster and these buttons, where the gear stick would be, about all that leaps out. Now your gears are replaced by some buttons and some levers. Now you can see here the obvious park button there, and next to that is a lever which chooses whether you're going to go in reverse or into drive. And then beside that you've got the B button, and what that does is increase the levels of regenerative braking, which I'll go into a bit later on. Now to the right of that is another natty button, and that gives you your 3 driving modes, either power, normal or eco, and I'll go into that a bit later on as well. What I will show you right now is the power meter that replaces the rev counter. Now that will show you whether you're charging when you're actually backing off the accelerator, braking, or even using extra braking with that B mode, or whether you're actually using energy while accelerating. There's a battery charge level indicator instead of the fuel gauge, and there's a trip computer which, amongst other things, tells you how much predicted range you've got left, or how much energy you're using for your speed. The rest of the cabin is unchanged, with the same interior as the standard Vivaro van. This means it's nice and comfortable and well put together, but it is on the small side. But then again, I would say that, wouldn't I? The seating position is quite low. Not a problem for me, but it's a little cosy in here compared to a VW Transporter. It's helpful that there's a usefully adjustable driver's seat. Other features fitted as standard include cruise control, a 7-inch colour touchscreen for the infotainment system, rear parking sensors, automatic lights and wipers, and an electronic handbrake. If you choose the Elite version, you'll also get satellite navigation, a rear view camera, front parking sensors and lane departure warning system. There's also speed sign recognition as well as a drowsiness alert system. Sorry, nodded off a bit there. That is a lot of standard kit. Now, the noisy diesel engine is a thing of the past already in the van world, and the standard Vivaro is already pretty quiet. But with an electric motor, the peace and quiet is on another level. Another really great reason to love this van. There's a 100 kilowatt motor with the equivalent of 134 brake horsepower, and it also produces 192 pounds-foot of torque from the moment you set off. That might not seem like a huge amount of power when some vans like the Ford Transit Custom have about 180 brake horsepower and the VW Transporter has over 200, but this is very different because of the instantaneous torque and because there are no gear changes. From the moment you press the pedal, the Vivaro-e feels much quicker than you'd expect, and if you were worried that little Corsa electric motor wasn't going to be up to the job, well then check this out. The Vivaro-e's performance is not dissimilar to its diesel engine siblings, but they don't have the driving modes that the Vivaro-e does. Now press this rocker on the dashboard and you can select between the modes. Normal mode gives you 80% torque and power, and then Eco mode goes down to 70% torque and 60% power. And then my favourite is Power mode, and that gives you full whack. Nice. In Power mode, it does feel like the van has much more than the 134 horsepower. As well as the 3 driving modes, there are also 2 levels of regenerative braking. By default, you'll be in normal driving mode, which gives you the standard amount of regenerative braking. But the B mode button increases that braking. In a nutshell, normal lets you coast and use your momentum to get a few cheeky meters of free travel under your belt, while B mode is like lightly pressing the brake pedal. Now the van would benefit from having a 4th, even more powerful mode, and I really would like to have these controls on the steering wheel. On the whole, the Eco and normal modes will be enough for your average driving about, but the Power mode is going to be particularly useful for towing. Now I'll admit that owning an electric van isn't going to be for everyone. If you are going to buy one, you do need to look at it from a number of different angles. You are going to pay a lot more for an electric van than you would a diesel, but you'll pay so much less to run an electric van compared to a diesel one. Maintenance costs are definitely less, and if you drive it thoughtfully, you won't find yourself needing to use your orange gloves. Vauxhall will tell you that on a like-for-like basis, compared to the diesel van, the Vivaro-e is nearly 5 times cheaper to run. But as an electric Vivaro will cost slightly more than £10,000 over the diesel van, you're going to have to be working pretty hard to make up the difference. If you do fancy going electric with the new Vivaro-e, I'd recommend the Elite trim level over the Dynamic. You get a lot more creature comforts and that all-important load-through bulkhead. The Vauxhall Vivaro-e is the most advanced electric van on the market, with battery options that won't give you any range anxiety and a payload that's nearly as good as a diesel van. It's practical, it's comfortable, and it should be cheap to run, which is why What Car have given it 5 stars and made it their Van of the Year, and why I'm going to give it an Ed Factor seal of approval. Want to see more van reviews from me? Then subscribe to the What Car channel. You'll see each of my new reviews as soon as they're released, and in between you'll also get to watch other reviews by the lovely people at What Car.